Very good morning, everybody. My name is Kiran Yarlagadda. I'm the founder and CEO of Bullion Data Systems. Bullion Data is a Snowflake services partner focusing on the areas of data engineering, data science, and analytics. Today, we are going to present about our Predictive Maintenance Accelerator that we have built on top of Snowflake for the retail, supply chain, and manufacturing industries. We have our COO on the call, Hitesh, here to present the accelerator to us. Good morning, Hitesh.
Hey, good morning, Kiran.
So to all the viewers, before we jump into the demo of the product, I would like to give an overview of why we have built this predictive maintenance accelerator. So in today's day and age of digital connectivity, wherever we are moving around, we are constantly connected to a lot of hardware devices digitally. So maybe like 5 or 10 years ago, controlling your thermostats or your doors or your sprinkler systems, via the internet wasn't really there. But today, in my house and most of your houses, you have devices that are controlled by the, internet, from your ring alarms to your doors to your sprinkler systems to your thermostats. Now, there was a specific use case where, last 2 months of the year, I was in India, and at some time, my Nest thermostat popped a message saying your battery level is too low. You need to really replace this ASAP. But I was on a planned trip for 2 months. I was not able to come back in time. I think the last 5 days, it basically ran out of power. So my house is kind of small. It is something that I can take care of, and it's not something I really have to worry about. But imagine a very, very large oil and gas industry or a manufacturing company where they have, hundreds of machines, large scale CNC, high cost equipment that is constantly running. If we are not able to predict their failure or maintain them on a consistent basis, I mean, there is a lot of loss for the business. There is loss in productivity of the labor. So when we are able to, predict a machine's failure or the maintenance that is required, the downtime is very, very low. There is increased productivity. You can always plan your labor, especially in this, during COVID, there was a lot of crunch for like labor. So you can really plan your mechanics or your electricians on what you can predict, like, where there is going to be a possible failure or maintenance is required. Similarly, in today's day and age, there are, several machines and components working on multiple apps. But if you look at like a business user who is responsible for predictive maintenance, I mean, they can't really go over 100 different apps, try to run analytics, try to run formulas and look at, hey, what is the best possible solution? So we are essentially trying to solve this use case here by building a single accelerator and an app where we are connecting Snowflake to multiple IoT devices, streaming historical and also real-time data, and providing business users to make decisions and help them plan their maintenance on time. So that's the quick background on why we created this accelerator, or what the use case or market need is. So we'll jump into the demo of the product, Hitesh. So can you give us a quick overview from a technical standpoint on what we are doing with the accelerator here, please?
Sure, Kiran. So let me share my screen. But before I share my screen, I want to actually give a background about what we have been doing, right? So we have been getting a lot of requests, and we are working with a number of customers where the use case seems to be very simple. How do we connect and bring data from real IoT devices into Snowflake, real-time streaming data, and analyze that data in real time through our machine learning and AI models that we are building, and store the predictions and outputs of these models back into Snowflake so that we can provide cool dashboards to our customers. So we did build a number of dashboards on Power BI because a lot of these customers are using Power BI. But for the sake of this demo, we have included or integrated Power BI into Streamlit because it looks much more better and much more appealing. So that said, Kiran, we are using Snowpipes to actually bring in data into Snowflake, but we have integrated through a number of streaming services like, Amazon Kinesis has been one of the most commonly used streaming service for us. And a lot of customers have been sending a lot of geo data and IoT data to S3 buckets through our API gateway and Kinesis, and we process data at the S3 bucket itself, and through a Snowpipe we are bringing them into our Snowflake. We have actually done a demo on building pipelines between S3 and Snowflake also. I think I will post a link to that in the comment section below, so you can actually see how we can easily build pipelines for use cases like these to bring in data from S3 buckets to Snowflake, just create them. So whenever there is IoT data and you are getting all the data into Snowflake into one table or, multiple tables. And in this particular case, right, we have different types of machines and their IDs, and they are actually providing their real-time voltage, their rotations, pressures, and vibration. For this use case, these are the parameters, but for different customers, we are analyzing different types of parameters. And our data science models will then kick in, and they will be actually predicting, okay, if this machine in this model is operating at this rotation, at this pressure, and at this vibration, and consuming so much of voltage, and based on its age, etc., what is its status? Probably is it going into a failure mode, or is it going into a success mode, or is it, that means, a non-failure mode, and things like that, or is it due for maintenance, or the type of things. So based on these results, we then go ahead and then, build awesome dashboards to the users with, of course, different filters, trying to see, okay, what are the probabilities of failure, and what are the, what models are actually looking at high pressures, what models have a lot of vibrations, what models have a lot of voltage, what models in future will have a lot of maintenance issues and things like that. So we have been building a lot of dashboards to look at your rotations, your pressure, and what are the chances of failure, and what are the non-chances of failure, and things like that. But dashboards are something that a lot of people can build when you have the data. But what we have, similar to all the other models that we have been showing, right, is our machine learning as a service model, where we have the data, we analyze the data, and we also give a model or a use case where the business just can predict. Say, if I am running a machine at a certain voltage, at a certain rotation, at a certain pressure, and at a certain vibration, what is the chance of this model to fail? Or, is it going to fail, or is it going to not fail? Is it okay, or does it require a preventive maintenance? And, things like that. So these are some of the models that we have been building, Kiran.
Okay, fantastic. So I have like a few questions that I would like to ask you, Hitesh. So for this use case, I believe you've, I'm assuming this is a large CNC machine where you're calculating the pressure, rotations, and vibrations and voltage. But with this accelerator, will we be able to connect with any of the IoT devices in the market? Currently, robotics is a very popular feature in the market where, most of the warehouses, they want to automate their processes. And also you look at, robotics coming into the restaurant industry as well. So will we be able to, monitor robotics related IoT data as well using this accelerator?
So, see, the accelerator is all about how we can get data from virtually any IoT device into Snowflake and run our models on top of the data that is coming from these IoT devices. So it's a very good thing that you have mentioned about the warehouse, right? So most of the warehouses today, as you know, including one of our customer, they have massive number of robots that do pick and place. So, and these robots run on batteries, and the IoT data is constantly saying, at what speed the pick and place robots are moving across the warehouse, what is their current battery level, and what are the pending number of orders that are queued to this robot. So then we analyze, and then we say, hey, the battery is going to run out soon, so it does not have enough time to go back to the charging station to charge itself and things like that. So we then trigger. We also have the capability to trigger based on the data science model back to the robot to give it instructions to say, hey, you know what? Stop your pending queues, go back to your charging station and start charging. So what we are presenting as an accelerator is helping customers improve the speed at which they can integrate data from their IoT devices, process them, take the results out, or give instructions based on these results, right? So we have that entire flow, right from data ingestion to processing and all the way till predicting the output, and also triggering certain APIs or certain use cases or whatever it is, right? So that entire piece is something that we built as part of this accelerator.
Okay. So, what I understand based on what you're saying is this is a specific use case we have presented now, but our accelerator has the ability to capture data from any machine that an industry is using as, part of their asset management. We can always track them. Say you're in an oil and gas industry, we can track your trucks, your, any other machinery that you're using, and we can bring the live data into Snowflake and help build models to explain to the business on how the failure rate is going to happen or how they need to maintain this equipment. Now, I think earlier our team was discussing about allocating necessary labor and predicting the amount of maintenance labor required for a particular factory or like an industry. Is that use case going to be integrated into this accelerator, Hitesh, or will that be a separate one?
Yeah, that is what you said is right, Kiran. So, see, across our different accelerators that we are building through Boolean, there are going to be dashboards that are predefined and that will be available. And what we call here the machine learning as a service is a suite of different models that we are building that will be available to the customers. So, for customers that have IoT data, we want to integrate and provide the model that will help them predict the labor force that is required to perform preventive maintenance for a certain organization, right? Mm-hmm. So IoT devices can be centrally located within a plant, or IoT devices can be distributed across the country or globally through distributed vehicles or trucks or JCBs and all of that stuff going all around. So it really depends on how do you want to schedule the labor workforce also. Is it centrally within the plant or whatever it is, right? So our models are different for different use cases, and we have the facility to factor in certain conditions and then adjust the models based on the customer's use case, because certain machinery may require a higher time for labor to work and then plan the shifts and do the downtime of production and all of that stuff. So we are adding multiple models through our machine learning as a service for different accelerators. So it will be a suite of machine learning models that will be available with each of the accelerator.
Okay. Yeah. So can you shed some light to our technical users on how are you connecting the Snowflake database to several of these IoT and robotics or any machinery data? Can you shed some light on how this data is coming into Snowflake?
Yeah. So IoT devices have different protocols through which they publish data to the consumers. Okay, so some of these IoT devices are all connected, of course, through internet, and they have a push APIs to actually push their data, or pull APIs through which we can pull the data, or they are configured to keep dumping data into a central repository. So we have built 3 different pieces of code that are capable to either pull the data from the APIs of the IoT device, or receive through a webhook the data that is pushed by these IoT devices, or listen to the repository like an S3 repository on AWS or be it on any cloud provider. And then we have built data pipelines, especially leveraging Snowpipe, to continuously push this data into Snowflake. Right. So what we have also seen with one of our customers is Kiran, they publish a lot of geo data. So as trucks move, right, for every mile and a half, they keep publishing their real-time coordinates along with the readings of their critical machinery. So that's too much of noise, and that's too much of data that is getting pushed. So we are leveraging high what you call high throughput streaming service like Amazon Kinesis to process the data and dump the data packets into S3. And once we have the data into S3, then we build the pipeline and bring it into Snowflake. Right. There are several use cases that are happening. I want to particularly bring your attention to data that is coming through UDP packets also. We have recently worked with a large fitness industry company. So if you go into the fitness industry, there are hundreds of people working out, and the heart rate monitors are constantly pushing the data. And you have those beautiful screens that are visualizing how you are working out, right? That's massive amount of data that's coming in practically every millisecond with your heart rate data. So we are taking just some random samples because we want to cut a lot of noise and cut a lot of unnecessary junk data, and then we are putting into dumping into Snowflake and then building our models to see, hey, how these heart rate monitors are performing, and then you can do a variety of analysis on top of it. But bringing data from this variety of IoT devices into Snowflake, we have built connectors in different formats, whether to read it from UDP packets, or whether to read it from file dumps, or whether to consume it from a push API, or whether to pull it from a pull APIs. We have built all sorts of different pieces of code that can be customized to different IoT manufacturers.
Okay. Fantastic, Hitesh. I think that's where all these capabilities of Snowflake make it one of the best cloud data warehouses in the market today. That's a really good information that you have provided. And another technical question around the dashboards that you were showing earlier on the visualization tab of this accelerator. Earlier in some of our webinars or interactive videos, we've looked at our KPIs that were already built in Streamlit, but this one, we see that we have built in Power BI, and we're trying to utilize the same Power BI report into Streamlit. Can you shed some light into the technical information around how is the integration between Streamlit and Power BI? What are the advantages of using this integration here?
Yeah. So what we have done is, Kiran, we built these dashboards, etc., in Power BI and deployed it in a server, and then integrated into our Streamlit application. So this is because for a couple of our customers where there is a lot of data processing involved, etc., and they wanted a variety of graphs, etc., which there were some limitations on Streamlit. So we actually built it on Power BI. And but we thought, okay, presenting it in Streamlit will also help us in building more simpler dashboards. So instead of going to Power BI and then to Streamlit and then to something else, we thought we would do it. So, and ironically, for one of our customers who started doing this IoT analytics, they were a Tableau shop, and what they did was, they got some data from IoT into Snowflake internally and then built it on Tableau, but they were not so comfortable with their data science capabilities. So we added on their existing capabilities. So we had integrated Tableau also into Streamlit. So our Streamlit is now the what you call overlaying interface, but underlying you can serve dashboards and graphs from any visualization player. So we have that capability to play around.
Okay. Now that's some really cool functionality of integrating Streamlit and Power BI. I'm confident it will add a lot of value around the analytics piece, where users don't have to go to multiple systems and can view all the data, in a single place. And also you have our EDA as well, where we have our exploratory data analysis. I think a business user can look at various different parameters and data, can do a drill down into, looking at the different information that is needed. Whereas without the accelerator, I think the user might have to go to multiple reports, run a lot of queries in order to come to a certain conclusion or get certain information here. That is a really nice accelerator that has been built by our team here, Ritesh. We're really looking forward to the integration of labor allocation or labor availability towards predictive maintenance as well. I hope we can do one more session after that data is that new feature has been added to this tool.
Sure, definitely, Kiran. We will.
Thank you for the demo, Hitesh. From just to conclude about this accelerator, like at the beginning of the call, we mentioned about an industry's uptime, downtime, allocating labor towards maintenance, increasing return on investment on the machines purchased by like an industry or an organization. It is really, really important to maintain the equipment, repair the equipment on time, ensure there is no downtime in order to manufacture the goods for your customers. So this accelerator will definitely provide a lot of value, insights, and will help reduce your labor costs and your maintenance costs, so that it can provide insights from a single point of view, both historically as well as like going forward. So even if you want to buy any new equipment or a certain brand that you might have previously used, you can use our machine learning as a service model to predict how long will this machine work in your environment given certain circumstances and parameters. And you can run models on your own. You don't have to be very technical in order to do so. So any retail, warehousing, manufacturing, or a supply chain company, if you utilize this accelerator that is built on Snowflake, and having the combined power of Snowflake and our accelerator, you will definitely see business value being added. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Look forward to talking to you all soon on our next podcast. Thank you.